Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Good morning, Jen Sparks.
Hello, Marlo.
How are you this morning?
I am good. It is Friday.
It is Friday, I know. Does Friday really matter to you? Because I know that you're an entrepreneur.
No, but it does because I'm not at my other job.
Right. Oh, okay. So you don't teach on Fridays.
Right.
Okay, gorgeous. So Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here this morning. We are on day 5 of the 12 days of divine inspiration. I don't know about you, but I have been loving the incredible interviews. And it's not really interviews, actually. They're really just chats, like coffee chats with such a rock star lineup of incredible people. So Monday, we had my brother, Gord Ellis. Tuesday, we had Sarah Mae Hollinsworth. Wednesday, Michelle Cooper, who is also a biz bestie with Jen and I. Yesterday was my brother, Roy Ellis. And today I am so blessed to be with Jen Sparks, who is a friend of mine. She is also my writing coach, and she is a publisher, a writer, and a lifestyle strategist. So we're really lucky to be here this morning with Jen, because Jen is going to jam out with us about turning your wounds into your wisdom. And for anybody on this Facebook Live who has experienced pain in their life, maybe throw a 1 in the comments. It should be a flood of ones. We all know that we have 2 choices, right? We can either sit in it and let it spiral down and stay there, or we can actually say, hey, what can I do with this information to maybe, I don't know, live a better life, learn a lesson, share it out. So Jen is one of those incredible people who has chosen to not only learn the lessons, but to actually share them out through her writing and through her coaching and through helping other people get their words out. So Jen, I want to thank you so much for being here this morning. You're such an incredible light. And you're also one of the funniest people that I know.
Oh, you're talking about my Snapchat videos.
I've spent many an evening like watching and rewatching your Snapchat videos because they bring me so much ridiculous, what's the word? It's like my guilty pleasure, you know? So yeah. It's super fun. But I know that you're working this morning. So thank you for taking time in your busy day to be here with us. Happy holidays. I see you have a tree up.
Yes, they just came out of the box, all pre-decorated. I plugged it in.
Hello and hallelujah to pre-decorated plug-in trees, right?
Yeah. And I even found scented little fur smelling things that I
did not.
Yeah, so I can hang them on the tree. It smells real, no water. It's fine. It's beautiful.
Like Christmas smells, like cinnamon and pine trees, or?
Yeah, exactly. Michael's Craft Store, everybody.
And they are, I have to talk about this for a minute. I'm sure everybody's going to be like, I'm going. You go and you buy Christmas decorations that smell?
No, they're like in a little cylinder jar. They look like pencils and they're green, and you hang them on the tree and they're like, scented, like real tree.
The world we live in. You know what? I wish I came up with these things. It's like the umbrellas for drinks. Remember in Cocktails, the movie, where like somebody created these and made billions of dollars.
Yeah. It'll happen.
So anyway, thank you, Jen, for being here. So let's dive right in, because this is such a hot topic. And of course, for anybody who is on here with us who believes that this is an incredible opportunity for you to share a really positive message to inspire your community on Facebook, all you have to do is hit share on your screen and it will go into your community, and then just say something nice about us. Right, Jen? That's all we ask.
That's all we ask. Kindness. Always kindness. Yep.
Always kindness. So Jen, tell me a little bit about your, the big wound that kind of was, as I like to say, the TSN turning point in your life and has, moved you to do some of the work that you do now.
Okay, well, I think I have a cumulative. I know you have many.
Yeah.
But we'll start with the biggest one for me. Like, I mean, there was a divorce, there was an accident, but my daughter got sick. And that was 6 years ago. And as a parent, anyone knows, like, you're pretty helpless when your child is ill. Like, I don't know how much more helpless you can feel watching that. So for me, it was, she developed seizures out of the blue, was having about 300 a day on some of the days. And life just changed on a dime. I found myself unable to work, not able to leave the house, super anxious. I'd hear like a remote drop in the room and knew that that wasn't good. Like I couldn't leave her alone. Basically, she was at the age 12 where she was babysitting other people's children. And now all of a sudden I had a child that I could not leave alone.
How scary is that? Like, you literally can't leave your child alone.
No. And basically, you know, when the brain is firing like that, she has no warning, no, we never see it coming. So she could be standing there and it happens, or she could be in the tub and it happens, or whatever. Anyways, gosh. The story's much bigger than that, but that was kind of the, holy shit, like, what am I going to do? And we struggled and we went down for a while. And then I really got to the point where I was like, if I don't do something, I'm going down in the vortex.
Right.
Like, we're going down together. This is going to take us.
Right.
Her story really is part of me understanding what gratitude was and how the power of gratitude. Like, I was on the floor in my bedroom, basically begging for mercy. She'd had several seizures, was unconscious. I couldn't move her. Like, I'm a single mom, nobody here with me.
Right.
And I just heard the word gratitude. And then I was like, okay, I was cynical because my view of gratitude was watching Oprah talk about gratitude on TV many years ago. And I'm like,
exactly. Other people are gratitude. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, you have a personal trainer and a chef and money, and you can feel gratitude about all this stuff. Now, having said that, I know she's had her own struggles, but I was very cynical about it. But after we got back from the hospital that day, I sat in the backyard and was like, okay, what the hell does this mean? And I sat there with a cup of coffee and I basically dissected the moments in time and was like, I can feel the sun on my face. I can hear the birds. I can feel the wind, you know, this fresh air. And in that moment, I was able to put all my shit down. Right? I was able to just put it on the table.
Goosebumps. Right.
Yeah. Like, gratitude.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Allows you to put your stuff down. I mean, that's what essentially it does. Right.
Right. I remember the first time I heard the story. So I met Jen last year. This is a little backstory. I met Jen last year in September in Kelowna. We were both at an event because we were both working with a speaking coach at the time. And we were at this event called Center Stage with Chantel Adams, great program. And I remember you telling that story from the stage. Mm-hmm. And we all just sat there in disbelief. Like, the fact that you were able to just quickly move into gratitude. You know, thank God Oprah was around and you watched all those episodes, because you knew that you had to choose gratitude or you were going to go into, like, down the slippery slope. That does not mean, by the way, and I know this, that those moments, the slippery slope still happens, right?
Oh, totally.
But you can, for 1 second, maybe just go, I just need 1 minute where I'm just in gratitude, because the rest of my day is going to be hell, right?
Yeah. Or, like, you calibrate yourself to a reflex of gratitude, right? Regardless of what happens with her, I have cultivated a gratitude response.
Wow.
Right. So if something happens, a year ago, we were in trauma. She'd gone status on us. I didn't know what was going to happen. And that event, while horrible and scary, got us
last year?
Yes, like a year ago.
So it's just it's ongoing. So this is ongoing, right?
Totally. But that got us a new neurologist. That got us new care. That got us new medications. If she hadn't have had that event, we would never have had access to these other professionals. Right. So I'm totally grateful for that all coming to a head so that we had access to that. Does that mean it's easy? Hell no.
Would you have asked for it? Hell no. You know, but it just happened to lead you. You know, I think of women who, you know, go into, or people in general who go in for like a general exam and they come out with some kind of a, holy cow, I'm so glad I went because I've been diagnosed or I found a lump, or, you know, and you think, is this divine intervention? You know, we're going to put you here, but you need to wake up, you know, you need to wake up to your life, or something needs to be done, or somebody needs help or whatever.
Yeah. There's so much to be learned in, like, you know,
what did you learn? Because I know that I'm looking at Leah Parsons, for example, who lost her daughter several years ago to suicide from cyberbullying. So, I mean, here's somebody who knows all about pain. And like, how did you just decide? Like, what did you learn? Like, how do people learn from these things?
There's a lot of things you don't have choice with. So you have to gravitate towards the things you can control. So I learned that's where I need to focus. I have no control over whether she has a seizure or not. I have control whether I'm trained in first aid, whether I help her comply with her medications, whether I help support her sleep cycle, whether I help encourage her to get outside. Am I successful with that? No, not all the time. But that's what I focus on, because that's what I have control over. That's where I put my energy. I do not put my energy on, oh my God, she had another seizure. This is horrible. And I don't use language like that either. I never say, this is horrible. I never use these big dramatic words that are like grenades that like they get into you. And when you're using languages like this is devastating and this is horrible and this is
then it is.
Then that's what it is. This is shitty, but we're going to be okay.
Right.
Or this is shitty, but it could be shittier.
Yeah. Can I just want to go back for a minute. Roy and I did a Facebook Live yesterday about grief and about just moving through grief and all the different things. I mean, it ended up being a massive conversation. I feel like this is so in alignment with that because we talked about control, relinquishing control. And one of the things that as humans and as people who love our people is that we want so desperately, and I don't have children, but I know that the parents around me feel so responsible for everything, right? And I love that you said, you know, I've just decided that I can't have control over everything, and that when something doesn't go right, it's not your fault. You've done your best. What do you do, Jen? Like, do you ever experience guilt, even though you know that it's not how you should be feeling because you don't have control? Do you ever feel guilt? And if so, what do you do to put yourself back into the wait? I shouldn't feel guilty about this. I've done my absolute best as a human being. Is there anything that somebody can share? You can share? You
know what? I know I'm doing my best. I'm doing the best in every moment I have. Like, I know that in my heart. I don't feel any guilt. I feel sorrow that she has to go through. I feel sorrow that I can't take it on for her. But this is not how it works. Like, you know, and really understanding our paths are different. There was a moment, Marlo, where I remember, and I think I felt guilt about this, but I realized that it was part of the process. I remember having a conversation with things bigger than me saying, okay, I realize I'm not in control of this. I am going to surrender her well-being to you. I am going to surrender what I cannot control, but I am going to effing fight for every other thing that I can. So this is our deal. I'm going to have faith and trust in you, you know, but while I was so focused on my daughter, right, because there's this huge crisis going on, my son gets hit on his bike in the back alley by a car. So I'm like, okay, that's somebody saying, yeah, you got no control. And while you're focused, you think you can fix this, the things you don't expect are happening around you, right? So really, I had to get seriously honest about what could I control. And that is where I'm putting my energy because I have this much energy to spend in a day.
Right.
So I better put
it comes in the form of a coffee some days.
But hey, and Yoda.
Oh my gosh. Stop. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So like you really have to decide what you have control over and then you surrender the rest, and you have to have faith in that.
Wow.
Faith. I mean, and I'm not a religious person. This whole ordeal has made me very spiritual.
Right.
It has made me realize there's things much bigger than me. You know, it's
and made that's me such a relief, don't you think? Like for me, I grew up in a very religious, just a conventional kind of Christian family. And as I grew older, I kind of like let that go. And, you know, the whole thing that teenagers do, like, I don't want to go to church. And, you know, but as I've gotten older, I've actually stepped a lot deeper into spirituality for what it really is to me. Right. And I find it such a relief. I don't know about anybody else. If anybody else here has gone through something that has just been too big for them to carry, and they're like, I just need to surrender some of this to my greater power, to source, to God, whomever, let us know in the comments, like throw a 1 in the comments if you've actually had to just relinquish some of that. Because I feel that when we do that, it's just, we can put the energy that we do have and the things that we can control, we can focus on. And then everything else, we just say, you know what? I'm just going to have faith here that this is going to roll as it should. And I'm going to be so present for whatever comes. I'm going to catch it. I might suck. It might go through my fingers, but I'm doing my best, right? Like you said, I'm doing my absolute best to be the best person that I can.
And I often compare things like this, like you're trying to catch the wind in your hands,
right?
You can't hang on to the wind. So yes.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Right? You've got to put some stuff down. So, because you need to make space for the things that you can work on. And if you are holding on to the stuff that isn't yours, you're erroneously carrying that, whether like, you know, there's choices still that my daughter makes or my son makes or whatever that I go, that's not, I wouldn't do that, not my path. It's not my choice.
Leah
right?
put a 1 in the comments, and she said it's a huge relief to be able to do that. And Leah is somebody who's very in touch with like spiritual practice and just taking really good care of herself. She's got an incredible connection with nature, which I know you do too, Jen. I know that you love the outdoors, and I'm sure it's probably part of your healing process is getting out there. But it's just important, right, to have some other strategies that we use. We can't just can assume that we can do it all, and we try to, and then we're like, okay, wait, it's not working.
But we're fooling ourselves. We can't. And actually, I just have to say, I have spoken with Leah, and I know her story.
Oh, okay.
I love it.
Yay! I love this.
Yeah,
try, people.
Yeah. So, I like Leah's story. She's doing tremendous work here. And she is releasing this story out into the world on a larger scale, and has no idea of the ripple. She has no idea of what she's already stopped in terms of other suffering. She has no idea how much support she's given maybe to other parents.
Amen.
By sharing your story, you change the world, and you have no way of knowing how that actually impacts people. My book, WTF to OMG, when it first came out, my phone rang late at night, and it was a woman crying, thank you so much for writing this book. And my book is like nothing compared to Leah's story, well,
it's your truth. Everybody has their own truth, and it's impactful.
Right. But I mean, just in terms of like magnitude.
Okay.
Because I'm not sure that, I've had a lot of stuff go down, but what Leah's had to face.
I know her story is,
yeah. So love her. I love her. I love what she's doing. I love how brave she is. I love how vulnerable she is. And the thing is, she shares her story with such vulnerability that she allows people to get emotionally connected to her. And it's that emotional connection. Like, they might not always remember the details of the story, but they remember how it made them feel, and the hope and the inspiration, or, those moments of pain where they say, man, like, she was in pain and she's come out to this place of power, like
while she's still in pain, while she's still experiencing pain. Because I know that Leah talks very openly about how the fact pain never really goes away. It just comes in waves, and she's able to stand in her power in that. And I think that that's what Wounds to Wisdom is all about. It's like, I can make a choice here. And, we all, and one of the things that Roy and I touched on yesterday in our interview was the fact that, you have to let pain have its place, and you have to honor it, and you have to respect it. But sometimes you're like, okay, I actually think I can come up for air today. Boom. What can I do with this? And then you can maybe go back down your rabbit hole for whatever amount of time that you need to go there. But when you come up for air, you can use that time. And that's where the choices are, right?
And there is always a choice. Our days are made up of all these moments. We're always one choice away from something different, even if it's for 5 minutes. Right.
Exactly. That could be a 5 minute. That could be a 5 minute. Like the conversation that you had with the woman who called you in the middle of the night saying, thank you for this book. 5 minute life altering moment. Like, she read something that you wrote, 30 seconds, that, took her to the edge and maybe kept her from walking off the ledge. Who knows? Right. But so powerful. So Jen, I know that you help other people take their pain and their wounds, like you're doing this with me right now as I write my book, is to help them to take what they've experienced and to express it, because not only is that a form of healing, but it's also an opportunity, as you said, to get your message out there in hopes that maybe you save one life or one soul, or so what other things in your life have you been able to say, oh, okay, here's another nugget, another wisdom nugget. Like, what other things have happened to you that maybe, I know you have a weight loss story.
Well, I have,
which is something that so many women resonate with,
well, okay. That was kind of, I had gotten, my life was basically, I was overweight, overwhelmed, just
all the O's.
Yeah. Just not in a good place. Knew I needed to get a divorce. Got divorced, huffing and puffing, carrying a laundry up the stairs, unhealthy, chronic pain, lived on a processed food diet because I was so overworked and I had 2 kids under 5, and just trying to keep the shit show from totally blowing up.
Right, exactly.
This is my responsibility. I'm responsible for how I got here. I've got to stop blaming. Like, even when I didn't make the choice, I gave the power to somebody else to make the choice for me. So put on your big girl panties. It is time. If you want to make a change, you need to do it. So I started running, and I started running, Marlo.
How did you start running with chronic pain and weight and all that stuff? Like seriously, how did you just go, okay, I got to do this? How did you do that?
I parked my car in a neighborhood where nobody would know who I was, because I'm a teacher, right? And I got out of that car in my teacher slacks, like elastic waisted.
Oh, I remember this story. Oh, this is a good story.
Yeah.
I love the elastic waist.
Put on my runners and I took off running, and I really, I was 200 pounds. I'm 5'1", right?
Right.
I was not in any shape to be running, not even to the corner. But the thing is, Marlo, I was like so angry at myself. I took off running to punish myself. It was like cutting. It was like,
oh, interesting.
You got yourself here. You are going to suffer until you get out of this. Like, you need to move through this, and you need to start it. And this is what you're going to do. So I ran, which it felt like half a marathon, but it was 3 kilometers. And
for somebody who all the things, like even with the elastic waist pants and the overweight, whatever, 3 kilometers, was there emotion behind that running by any chance?
Oh, the more I ran, the angrier I got, because the more in pain I got, I was like, this is your doing. Just remember, you chose this. And I kept running. And when I stopped, I got in my car, drove home, which was maybe 10 minutes. On my driveway, I couldn't even get out of the car. My legs were done. I was like, holy shit. And then I was more mad. So the next day I got up and I ran again, and then again and again. Then I signed up to do a marathon. And 20 weeks later, I was running a marathon in Hawaii.
Hello, everybody. Right.
Like, no part of it was pretty. But by this point, I wasn't punishing myself anymore. I was using running as a form of meditation and healing and thinking things through. I went on to do Ironman twice. And you know what? At no point.
Mind blowing. Like, I tried doing an Ironman one day and I stopped like after a week. I was just like, I can't even.
It was a year of training. Like, it was a year of training. But it became a year of self-love and self-care. Right? It was never about being perfect that day. It was like, I'm doing something today to move me closer to where I want to be.
Right. And it sounds to me like, and I think this is the important piece for this whole story, is that when we see ourselves in a place and we make a choice, the choice that we're making needs to be out of self-love. Yes. Right? And you were making a choice out of self-love. Even though it was difficult. Yeah, it's going to be difficult. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's writing in your journal every day when you feel like staying in bed, or going out and running. It's equally difficult to get out of bed and do the thing. And so when you're doing things out of self-love, then, and the why, I'm reading Simon Sinek's, Find Your Why, whatever. I can't remember exactly what it's called, because there's 2 of them. It's just like, why? And when you really know that your why is so much bigger than your present and your discomfort, it just changes everything. And obviously you're an expert at doing that now that you practice it and saw how successful it was and how liberating it was and how healing it was, right?
Right. And I feel sometimes that I get tested again. Hey there. So you think you know how to do this? Well, we're going to give you another curveball and see if those strategies and tools actually work. And I feel so equipped with, I'm like, it's okay. I got this. It's one step at a time. Get in the 5-minute box. You don't need to know anything outside of 5 minutes. You're just going to decide in the next 5 minutes what you need.
Right. And then in 5 minutes, you'll know what you need to do the next, whether it's stop or keep going.
Yeah, totally. Right? Yeah. And so, and I want to touch on journaling though.
Yes, please.
Okay. I have a story about journaling. When I was younger, I went to Australia by myself when I was 17, 18. And I journaled when I was there, because we didn't have email. You couldn't, I journaled, I wrote letters, pen to paper. Yeah. When I was at that point where I was trying to pull my life together, I found those journals of that brave 17-year-old who left Canada on her own. And I read my journals and I became my own hero. Right. You're like, she's awesome. I want to hang out with her. I'm like, that's who I am. That is who I am. Right. And journals are a gift, because when you sit down and start writing, you get this flow of consciousness. And what it is the truth is coming through you. You don't get to edit it. Right. You don't get to justify somebody else's behavior. You are writing it. It's coming through. The truth is there. And journaling can really help unstick you, because look back at a journal entry, you'll be like, ooh, there's that little piece of truth that I needed to move past what I'm stuck with. And Absolutely. You'll notice when you journal, if you like at the end of the month, if you read your journal entries, how much you've grown.
Right.
When you recognize how much you can grow in a month and you think how much you can grow in a year or 5 years, if you just incrementally change your life, like drink a glass of water, lemon water every day,
right.
or go for a 20-minute, like if you go and do a 20-minute workout every day, where will you be in 5 years versus sitting on the couch eating potato chips during that time?
Exactly.
Right? This is not always about big change. And so journaling really helps measure those incremental things that you can't see.
Absolutely. And did you see Michelle Cooper's letter that she wrote from?
Yeah.
And that was such a beautiful thing. And I was talking to her yesterday and she was like, did you see my letter? She said, I didn't even remember writing it to myself. So a girlfriend of ours, just to fill you guys in, a girlfriend of ours went to a retreat this fall and she wrote a letter to herself and they mailed it like a month later. And when she opened it up yesterday and read it, she said it was so inspiring because she got to read her strongest version of self writing to maybe the person who's been working too many hours in the week this week and is feeling burnt out. And you're like, oh, wait, that was me that said that about me. And I loved that because it doesn't even have to be, it could be from ourselves yesterday, right? Like yesterday I felt great, today I feel crappy. I need to go back and read why I felt good. What made yesterday different? Oh, it's because that person who said something to me, I actually let it really impact me. Whereas yesterday I was like, you know what? I know my truth. Then we can go, I need to go back into that headspace of I know who I am despite what other people say. I agree. It's so funny. I've been getting diaries. I bet you're the same. I've been getting diaries since I was a little girl. My mom used to give me diaries for Christmas every year. And I would write, in them and write things mostly about my brothers and my pets. And I've kept them over the years. Were you a writer when you were younger, or is it something that came to you later in life? Or I find lots of writers have written all their lives.
Yeah, I wrote in periods, like really loved poetry when I was going through that teenage hormonal angst. I was always writing these, like I had to be sad to write poetry, right?
Okay.
I couldn't ever write poetry when I was full of joy. Loved to write poetry. And then I did write and I would make books. Like, Mom, get me doing things.
Go figure.
Yeah. And then when I would date people, they would always buy me like a membership to a magazine that had to do with writing. And I'd be like, why did people buy me this writing stuff?
See?
I recognized it in me before I recognized it in myself.
Right. Well, you are an entrepreneur.
Yeah. And then it's recently all come together. And I'm like, now I look back and I go, that makes sense. All the way from, maybe being 10 years old or 5, putting books together, loving books,
Right. And it's so powerful. And I think that it's something just basic, like something that we can get children to do. That is just, it's a record of your life. It's a record of your thoughts that isn't in cyberspace. You can literally pick it up. And I look at my little diaries from when I'm a little girl, because I've been journaling all my life. And some years like you, it ebbs and flows. Like there were years where there was no journal for, 2001. Right. Yeah. But generally I have. And it's such a cool record of your history just for yourself to be able to look back and say, like you said, holy cow, how much I've grown. I mean, I used to get so upset about the stupidest things.
Totally. And the power with journaling is that pen to paper, you're actually accessing a different part of your brain, your soul, your essence than you are when you're speaking. Like you truly are. And so you're putting it in, like, that's why people don't remember. Mm-hmm. Right? Because it basically, you take the cork out and this stuff starts to flow. So really, I almost equate journaling to access to spirit.
For sure. Can you explain that? Because some people might be like, I don't get that. Well, I get that. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, like this intuition that we often deny ourselves. Mm-hmm. Right? Like we'll get this feeling and we will shove it down and we'll do what we know is wrong for us anyways. Right?
I never do that. Do you?
No, not now.
Never.
Right. So when you journal, what happens is you aren't stuffing. You're not trying to make that intuition go away. You're actually feeding it. And you're opening up this way of knowing that people talk about. And people go, I don't get it. Like, what are you talking about? And an example is, you go to your kid's soccer game. You hear this voice inside your head that says, you better pack an umbrella. And you look outside and it's sunny and 25 degrees and you're like, I don't need to pack an umbrella. This is all going on in your head, right?
Yeah.
You get to the soccer game and you sit there in the rain because you didn't pack the umbrella.
Right.
But if you hear that little voice in your head,
right,
you need to realize that is guidance.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I should pack an umbrella, but it's 26 and sunny. I'm going to pack my umbrella. Then
anyway.
Yeah. Then you're the person that's at the park sitting under the umbrella going, boy, I'm sure glad I packed my umbrella.
Am I ever smart?
Yeah. We take credit for it.
Right, exactly. And everybody else is like, you're so smart. Yeah. Actually, I listened to my intuition. I knew it was going to rain.
Yeah. And once I started listening to my intuition, which came through about journaling, like I realized I really had it. Once I let this pull me, everything got better.
Right. So let's talk about that for a minute. How has everything gotten better? Because, your daughter still has epilepsy, right? Like she still has seizures. And at any moment, like, is she in front of you right now? Are you watching her every second?
No, she has been controlled for a year. That last bout of trauma, when she was in the hospital, we got new meds, new doctor, and we've celebrated a year without seizures. Wow.
Holy cow. That's amazing. So moving forward, how were you able to just, do all the things we've been talking about, surrender and kind of like relinquish control and all those things so that you could actually focus on making your life really good? So that you can enrich not only your daughter's life, because you already have. I heard you say today, she's written a book, which is like, hello. So how are you able to do that despite, accidents and trauma and all of that?
Okay, so
maybe
first
somebody needs to hear this right now.
Yeah, first thing I need to say is that you can be happy despite your circumstances.
I think you have a book called that.
Well, I have Happy on Purpose.
Right.
I do.
I know.
But this is really important to say, because you can be in a really shitty life circumstance and you can still practice happiness. You can still strive to find happiness in the moments in between.
Right.
And it's really important that people understand. I'm not saying deny your fear. Don't deny your grief. Don't deny your sadness. You do need to sit with those feelings. You really 100%. Do. Catch your breath. Catch your breath. You need to honor those things. We are humans. We have emotions for a reason. Those emotions and what you're experiencing in that time, that is what's going to connect you to other people. We have a fear of vulnerability. I've never been more powerful when I'm vulnerable. Like, vulnerability makes me this powerful force of human connection and healing. And when I'm just going to hang that phone up one sec.
Okay. Real life. This is why I love Facebook Live. Yesterday was my dogs barking. I'm surprised they haven't barked yet. This is perfect.
It's just somebody calling from overseas to sell me something anyways. So, really, the most important thing is that you need to honor your feelings, catch your breath, and then cultivate happiness. So how do you do that? Well, what is my happiness currency? I'm not going to listen to society at large to tell me how I'm supposed to be happy. I'm going to let this guide me. I am going to gravitate towards what feels good, and I'm going to retreat from what doesn't feel good.
Right.
And, you can be in a bad marriage, compartmentalize that, and be happy with some of the other things that are in your life. One component of your life can be absolutely a shit show. But that doesn't mean that your entire life is horrible, right? So, absolutely. So that's my most important message, is that you can be happy despite your circumstances. And then you start working towards getting out of those circumstances, whether it's a change in relationship, a change in job, getting your finances together, whatever it is you need to do. So you can be happy despite the circumstances you find yourself in, because happiness is here.
Right.
And here.
100%.
Yeah.
And, I want to just, for a moment, I would like to open it up and let people know that if you guys have any questions for Jen has had a lot of life experience in her 25 years. And I would like you to just know that you can throw in any questions that you might have, about if you've experienced any, loss of Well, you're a parent. I don't know if you experience loss. I shouldn't say that. But,
you know what? Loss comes in different, it looks different. I had to grieve.
I wasn't sure what happened with your father, like with the accident. I didn't know.
No.
Sure.
Well, my dad was in a car accident, broke his neck, right?
Okay.
He's fine. He's still alive. But there was loss of things in that time period. With my daughter, I imagined this life for my child who then was having seizures. I had to grieve the life I thought I was going to have with her.
Okay, perfect.
Right. As we're now trying to reestablish what her new normal looks like, I had to grieve the life I lost when I divorced. I had to grieve what I thought I was moving towards, so that I could move on to something else. Like, we have loss all around us. And what I hate more than anything, and hate is a strong word, but it really drives me nuts, is that when people don't recognize the loss and grief. Like, if you have a broken relationship, you are grieving. Right. It's not 100%. Like, oh, it'll be better, get back on the donkey, things will be fine. No, let me effing grieve.
Right. And please don't say, move, just get over it. Please don't say that. Right.
And don't call him names. Don't call her names and tell me to get over it. Cause that's not,
that's not helpful. And that's not how it's, that's right.
Yeah. I need to start with that and move through it.
Right. When I was talking to Roy yesterday, that was a really big thing, because when people think of grief, they think of death, right? Human death. But he said, and you just said it. And I think it's important for us to all recognize and acknowledge that we've all grieved, for sure. Whether it could be something, it could be all the way from loss of a pet, right? I have grieved in that way, to loss of a job, to loss of a human. They all have different implications, but everybody has grieved. And, people usually by our age, Jen, we've had some big relationship loss, whether it's a friendship that was meaningful or a partnership that ended or whatever. And that's grief right there. And recognizing that grief speaks to all of us. And that, like you said, happiness, you can still find pockets of happiness within that time. Yeah. And I think you were talking about gratitude at the beginning. And we were, you were saying that gratitude was one of the things that you really focused in on the day that your daughter had her seizure. And as we all know, when you're experiencing one emotion, you can't experience another emotion at exactly the same time. Right. So if you choose gratitude for 5 minutes, just 5, in between, appointments or wherever, that gratitude will pull you out of the other stuff for just that period of time. And how that can change your state, how that can change your chemistry within your body. I mean, we are so complicated and extraordinary beings that we can change our chemistry with just one thought, right? And so I love gratitude practice. And every once in a while I sit down and I bang out, with anger behind it, all of the freaking things I'm grateful for right now, because if I don't do that, I'm going to lose it. And then I sit back and I go, that felt really good. Because even though there's like an energy behind it, I'm focusing on all the positive. And it gives me a break from all the junk. Right?
And the thing with gratitude that allows you to shift is that, like, even if you start with something like 3 things you're grateful for and they seem really trite, like, oh, my hair curled nice today, I got my jeans on, okay, not really.
Like truth bombs, though. Like, hello, we're grateful.
It's not a profound gratitude thing, but what happens is eventually that shifts. And you start waking up in the morning and you begin looking for things that you're grateful for, instead of looking for the things you fear or you don't want to face in the day. So you start your day off calibrated differently.
I love that word. Yes. Everybody write that down. Calibrate your day, because you can do that. Love that. That's so good. You need to hashtag that.
Hashtag calibrate your day. I would say create your day. It's not have a good day. It's create your day.
Right. Yeah. Right. 100%. Because have, is often means what other people give you is what you have. And that's not always how you want things to go. No. Right. As
and then you're giving your power away to somebody else. So create the day you want to have. I think, we story is what connects us. Story is ancient. Right. Yeah. This is how we've communicated for all the time we've been on this planet, generations before. And I think people, first, they need to know the story they're telling themselves. Mm-hmm. Okay? And and telling others. And what is it serving? Like when I first told my divorce story, it was very different than what I tell now, because I went to a place where I wanted to find gratitude from that relationship. So now when I think of it, I feel gratitude for what I got from that relation. I don't feel loss and grief anymore. But my story initially was to make me be able to get sympathy from people and to be the bad, or to be the good person, and that other person was bad. So I told the story in a way that would serve the purpose of me needing sympathy and me needing people to say, oh yes, that's horrible, da 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 da.
Oh, yes.
Right? So what story are you telling yourself? What story are you telling other people? And what purpose is it serving for you? Because even if you can't identify it, it is serving a purpose of some sort. Figure it out. Figure it out.
So how do you switch that? Because we've all at some point or another, I'm guilty too. I love that you like fessed up to that. That when I went through my breakup, my big breakup in 2012 that I talked about, that kind of launched me into the work that I do now. The first little while I told the story about poor me, he this, he that, he, and it was all fingers out, right? And I had a moment where I don't even know exactly what it was, but somebody said to me, you know, you basically get to choose how this is going to end, and the outcome is going to have everything to do with your choice. And so I decided to stop. I understood how powerful it was when he was in control of my story. And so I switched that around. So can you tell somebody, because I know that you kind of do this when you're coaching people through their books and stuff, can you tell the audience how they can take that crappy story that they might still be sitting in and just flip it?
Well, you've got to decide. First of all, there's this victimology that we use, and victimology comes with a whole language set. Like the poor me comes across very strongly, you know? If you are telling a story and you are using words that position yourself as the victim, so you're blaming somebody else, this was done to me, not for me, all of those things, you're not the hero of your story. So do you want to be the hero of your story? How are you going to change this around? You're going to change it around by saying, this was shitty and it happened, but this is what I took from it so I could grow and evolve and put my ripple out into the world in a different way. And actually, even if you look at Joseph Campbell's work with the hero's journey, are you familiar with that at all?
No. Okay. Do I need to write that in the comments? Is that a book?
Well, people can just Google Joseph Campbell. He talks about the hero's journey.
Okay.
Okay. And so the hero's journey is this pattern that exists in all storytelling where my daughter wrote her book, Just Like the Lotus, about her epilepsy journey, using this kind of formula where you're called to a challenge and you might not want this challenge and you say, I don't want it. She's like, I don't want to be sick. She's in denial. I'm not sick. I'll take pills. I'll get better. Seizure. Okay. I guess I'm sick. I guess I've got to accept this. I guess I have to walk into the fire and face this. And so we get into this battle with this disease. And what does it do to us? It brings us to our knees. It beats the shit out of us. She has got scars on her face. She, falls off horses, has seizures on theater stages. Like this wreaks havoc in her life. It tests every belief we have. While we're in there battling with this demon, we're learning. We don't really realize it at the time because it feels like survival, but we're actually learning. And our gift to humanity is that we come out the other side. We return to the land of the living, and we share our messages and we share our lessons and we share our triumphs. And then that's the hero's journey. And everyone has one, whether it's a divorce, like, I don't want to be divorced. I don't want him to leave me. Well, he left me. He's got that new girlfriend. He started a new family. Okay, so now I have to face it. I am here battling all this shit I don't want to feel. I'm jealous. I'm envious. I'm angry. I'm afraid, but I'm fighting it out. And, we move through this and then we come out the other side and we go, okay, I know I'm going to be okay. This is what I learned. I learned I can stand on my own 2 feet. I learned that I was afraid, but I don't need to be. I learned that everything I need is inside me, but I need to take responsibility for myself. And so when we come out that other side, we are presenting a gift through our story to everyone else who needs that wisdom because they are just being called into their own adventure.
I just had to take notes because you just went into it. I don't know. That was gorgeous. But one of the two things. First of all, I want to look up the hero's journey because I feel like everybody needs to understand their life. And what a great way to understand your life by looking at it as a journey. And we all know that heroes have to go through the stuff. But something that you said that I love, I wrote it down, victimology.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like as soon as you said that, I saw that as a book title. Because I think that we could all relate to that we can get stuck in that victim story, right?
Totally. And it's the words you use. It's the way you carry yourself. Totally.
Victim. Yeah. I was like, that's so good.
Marlo, I talk about this like in April when you come out to the writing retreat.
Yeah.
I talk about the hero's journey. And like, so here's the beautiful thing about this is when my daughter was writing her book, she wrote about her struggles and her call to adventure and into the struggle. And we were in the battle zone. What if we'd stopped there? What if we'd stopped where we were fighting this demon? Right?
Right.
What if that's where we stopped? What if we didn't go look behind us and go, what have you learned? What is the gift in this shit? Because there is one. Now, is that easy? No, it sucks. Like my daughter's had to suffer, and her suffering has impacted my life in positive ways because it's forced me to crack myself open, get out of these traditional ways of me thinking, open myself to alternative healing, all these things. Like her struggle has forced me to
be a better human, really.
Not have to be right. I don't have to be right. I need to be open and invite in what needs to come in so that this healing can take place. But if she had told her story when we were battling the dragons, we'd still be on the battlefield.
Right. Yeah.
And there would be no message of hope because you're in this internal freaking struggle forever.
Yeah.
Right?
Or you'd be lying on the ground, actually. Like if you guys didn't continue, you would have lost that battle. And instead,
exhaustion would have got us.
Yeah. And you're so victorious. I mean, one thing that you said that blew my mind is that, she's had a seizure on a stage. Like what child, like there is so much internal strength there for that not to destroy a child or a teenager.
I have to say, massive. My daughter is the strongest.
I'm sure she is.
Resilient person I know. Like I saw her on the stage last performance. The final performance, it was beautiful. Everything had been amazing. She'd done 10 of these shows and I'm in the audience and I see her head go to the side and she's standing there, she's doing her part and I see her head go to the side and I'm like.
And you knew.
I got up out of the audience. I went onto stage. I knocked her knees out from underneath her and I dragged her off the stage before she went into convulsions.
I don't even know what to say about that. That's just like, and what is amazing is that she went on stage knowing, like that's to me where the courage is. She goes on stage knowing that this is what could happen, but she is not accepting it as some kind of a life sentence. Right. She's going to continue to live her life.
She's a barrel racer. She gets on her horse and races her horse around barrels, even knowing. Does that mean she's not afraid? No. Does that mean she's not anxious? We got a lot of things we're working on, but it means she is going to grab life by the throat and live the shit out of it while she can. And we modify, and I'm often there for support. Like I will often, I don't leave her at the barn alone. I'm there watching. But that's what I can control, Marlo. The other stuff I can't. Am I going to say you can't ever get on a horse again and deny her years of her joy of riding a horse?
And what are you teaching her if you did that? Because now it's the horse. In the future, it's going to be a relationship, or it's going to be somebody saying no to her because possibly X, Y, and Z. And that's a life skill. I watched a really incredible interview last night with Lisa Nichols, and she was talking about, your muscle, right? Your resilience muscle and your resiliency, and how the more you use it and the more you practice it and the more that you're exercising it, then it just gets to be, I'm just going to keep getting up. I'm just going to keep getting up, because staying down is not an option in this lifetime.
Yeah, no, I feel like my daughter is unstoppable. My daughter is here to change the world. She's a catalyst for change. I don't know how to explain.
How powerful is that?
Yeah, everything.
And how old is she now?
She's 18. And her book starts, it was funny because we opened the paper December 31st last year, and somebody wrote an article about seeing her have a seizure on stage. And he said, this is what love looks like. And because her whole crew came together to help her. And then they carried on with the show, and they showed her so much love and support in the days after, as she realized, because she felt like she'd let them down, and they're like, no, you didn't. Right. But what I said to her, look at Kiara, I said, this guy that's writing it was in the audience, and he's saying, this is what love looks like. And I said to her, I just realized you never get to see the love. You never get to see the love that people have for you when this happens, because you're unconscious.
Oh, wow.
Right? I'm witnessing the love and the support all the time, but you're going through this and then you're unconscious and you don't know. Like, oh my gosh, you don't know.
She doesn't know the tribe that comes around her. And then when she comes out of it, those people probably all aren't there except like mom and maybe, I don't know if she'd be in the hospital, but right? And she doesn't see that. Yeah. Oh, wow.
Right. So that was a catalyst for me. And you know what? It was the written word, Marlo. It was somebody writing a story about what he saw.
That she got to read that.
Triggered in me. Right. And I was like, I wrote him and I said, I am so moved by what you wrote. This is what love looks like. Right. So power of story. It hits you when you don't even expect it.
Right. And, you know, I know that this is your jam, Jen, you know, storytelling and leaving a legacy. And that's what you are doing. And that's what your daughter's doing, obviously. And that's what you help other people do. And I really encourage people to, if they feel so moved, to either, like you said, just do some journaling around their story and get it on paper, or actually take their story out. I always say, if you have something that's happening in your world or has happened in your world that could save a life or save a soul, you need to share that. I always say, you know, kind of like shame on you for not sharing. And it sounds kind of bold, but I feel like we all have a gift, and gifts are for giving away. And when, like, for example, just all of the stuff that you're sharing about your daughter, there's going to be somebody I know that's going to watch this, that's going to be moved to look at maybe an ill child or an ill parent a little bit differently or whatever. But your message is going to resonate with somebody. And that's because you've been telling stories for the last 45 minutes. Right? And so if your story wasn't here, this wouldn't be happening.
Right. Exactly.
Power of story. So Jen, I want to thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Where can people find you if they're really interested in your writing or the work that you do, or just to stay connected with you? Can you share that so that everybody has access to you?
I can. I'm in the middle of a bit of a rebrand. So the best place for people to go is to stokepublishing.com. That's STOKE. I talk a lot about fire, so I stoke the fire in other people. That's the whole.
I'm trying to write that, but it's not letting me.
So stokepublishing.com is my publishing website. They can follow me on Facebook, Jennifer Sparks. Stoke Publishing is on Facebook as well. So that's probably the best place to start.
Okay.
And as the rebrand comes together, it will all come together into.
I'm excited to see the new branding.
Yes, it's beautiful. I've got a great team working long hours.
Working around the clock.
Yeah. So, but that's where I would start, and they can connect to me, message me, whatever they want. If they want to dig into any of my books, they can go to Amazon and look up Jennifer Sparks.
Okay.
And the titles that they're looking for would be WTF to OMG, The Frazzled Female's Guide to Creating a Life You Love, Happy on Purpose, Things That Happy People Do Differently, The Gratitude Transformation Journal. And I have a planner called the Life Map Infinity Planner that I have a lot of life strategy pieces in. Like I've got habit stacking and gratitude practice and bliss base. It's all set up in the planner, and it comes with a coaching program. So they can go grab that off Amazon and then go to the lifemapplanner.com and register, and then they get access to a whole coaching program for free.
Holy cowsers. There's lots there.
Yeah.
You're a busy lady. So you guys I believe if you connect with her, you're going to see, if you didn't catch all that, I'm trying to write things in the comments and it's not letting me, and I don't know why. So just look on her name if you want to write her name down on the screen, Jennifer Sparks. And then if you go into her .com or whatever, or Facebook, you'll get connected to all the other stuff, right? Through kind of like digging. Yeah. But Jen, I want to thank you so much for being here, for being super vulnerable and honest and sharing your story about your child. I know that lots of parents are very protective, as you are, about your child and about their stories. And I honor the fact that you're willing to share some of your pain around your child and your vulnerability here on Facebook Live, which is like basically public to the world, because I know that that it's going to make a difference, which is why you do the work that you do. So I really honor you for being here today and for sharing your story and for taking time out of your day. So thank you so much, dear sister, for being here. We love you. And I'm going to see you at your retreat in BC in April, hopefully with some kind of something for you. So tomorrow, our dear soul sister and another girlfriend of Jen's, Joy Kingsborough, is going to be here. We're going to be talking about self-love and loving yourself over the holidays, which we all say that we do. But bottom line is, when the doors are closed, a lot of people beat themselves up over the holidays. Oh, I ate too much. Oh, I drank too much Baileys and on the rocks. Oh, I spent too much money, or I'm not spending enough money. So we're going to talk about self-love and how to like really keep that front and center. So tomorrow morning I'm looking at my thing, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when Joy will be here. We love you, Joy. I think she's actually jumping on. Anyway, so thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Jen. Besos.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. Happy holiday.
Okay. Have an incredible day, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
And broadcast.